Lindsay, thank you so much for joining us. For everyone watching, this is Lindsey Mihalcik from Nashville, Tennessee. She's a social worker, and she is here today to talk to us a little bit about the trade industry and its well-being heading into the holiday season. Thank you for joining us.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So there's so much to discuss and unpack in regards to the holiday season this year. But considering we only have a couple of minutes to chat, I just wanted to start off identifying the different situations that we may find ourselves in this season. So there's going to be, people that usually go home who can't do that this year, the person who doesn't normally go home, but after this year may really want to reconnect with some family, and maybe the person who has lost someone this year and they're not able to participate in their usual holiday rituals. So do you feel like there's any unifying emotions that we could discuss here, or any common ground that all of these people might be feeling?
I think everyone is going to be feeling a lot of grief this year. I think that is the unifying feeling for this holiday season and for probably the last almost year now. And I think a lot of times we think of grief as when someone passes away, but there's a lot of grief can refer to any kind of loss. Grief can refer to the loss of family time. It can refer to the loss of like a sense of normalcy. I know your industry has been hit really hard, with so many places, businesses and bars and restaurants having to close down, and we don't know if they're going to reopen or what that's going to look like, and so many jobs that have been lost. So I think that as a nation and probably as a world, we're just feeling a very huge sense of loss and grief. And that is, for me, as a social worker, helping people process emotion as a human being who processes emotion, that's one of the hardest ones to process because um, it's non-linear, like the sense of grief. It's sometimes it hits harder than others, and it's a tricky one for sure for a lot of people. And my heart is really tender for everyone this holiday season because it's going to be a lot to navigate.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that for sure. So in your opinion, what would be some key pieces of advice you would give to someone who might be unable to see family this season, as someone who generally does have that as part of their holiday celebration?
So I know we're probably all zoomed out from like work and things like that, but I would say reach out, over Zoom. I do a group at the high school where I work, and we watch movies together. And we just like make comments either like in the chat box or whatever. And it felt kind of weird at first, but it's actually kind of like it's gotten to be a lot of fun, because it's a way for us to kind of like hang out. Uh-oh, what did I do? Sorry, I clicked on a button.
Speaking of Zoom stuff and like being Zoom.
Right. Speaking of my sweater sleeve, waking up the computer, I would do that. I would cook a favorite recipe or a favorite drink that if your family always served this, specific thing and you're not going to be able to have it with them, you can have it by yourself. You can see what sort of opportunities there are in the community to connect, in a social distancing sort of way. And I feel like the holiday season is always like rife with expectation, like you expect to do this and this and this, and people get really stressed out because the tablecloth isn't ready, or this isn't ready, or something's not perfect. And I think this is the year, especially this year, to let that go, and just do what you can, do it and your heart feels right, do what feels safe for you. Yeah.
I love that twist on it because I know a lot of people they want the holidays to be perfect, especially if you have kids or you're, in charge of the household. There's so much stress put on you to get all of this stuff done. Like, what if you reframe the conversation in your own head about what your expectations are on the holiday and take it as like, wow, this year I don't have to put all that stress into it. Maybe this is the
Right.
year I get to take a deep breath and like relax a little bit over the holidays. And then you can
Yeah.
maybe find a little bit more joy in that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Find the joy where it is to be found.
Absolutely. So, many people have experienced loss in a lot of different ways this year, but I want to specifically speak financially because I know the trade industry, as we mentioned, has been hit really hard. How would you advise someone to mentally frame potentially not being able to be in a position to comfortably gift as they would normally?
Um, I think there's a lot of ways to give, and there's a lot of ways to serve. And I think this is where you need to be creative. And we might not all be I always love like a handwritten note or a letter. It means a lot to me. Um, and if you don't feel like you have a gift of words, or you don't are not comfortable in your writing, the library is always free and you can use somebody else's words. But I remember in college when none of us had any money, my friend used to like find poems, and he would give send us like make a copy of a page in a book of a poem that reminded him of us. And I always thought that was one of the most touching things that you can do. You know, it doesn't have to be a lot. You can make something. You could just call someone and spend time with them over the phone. Yeah.
I love that. The poem thing is that's really awesome. And that's something that I know I personally would look over repeatedly, or put it in a frame or something like that, and keep it, because it's very sentimental, you know?
Yeah.
So another conversation, if you are able to connect with your family this season safely, I think it's important to touch on how to handle maybe family disagreements or volatile conversations in an environment that is already pretty hot and touchy with a lot of people right now for so many different reasons. So how can you give any tips or tricks on how to navigate a potentially stressful family situation, whether it's virtual or in person?
Well, that's like the question of the hour right now. And I would say, and I always talk to the people that I work with, is that your safety comes first. And if you feel unsafe in a situation, that you need to get out of it if you can. There are a lot of hot tempers right now and sort of emotions running wild. Um, and I think you sort of need to look for yourself and see what you're comfortable with. What are you willing to put up with, to make to your holiday? It's your holiday too, and you shouldn't have to put up with somebody saying something that is potentially harmful to you or to someone that you love. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. So I have one final question for you. In an overview kind of perspective, what would you say are some rituals or exercises to promote a healthy mindset if you may be struggling with any depression, loss, grief, as you mentioned earlier, this holiday season? Like, how can we really stay positive and get through this together?
All right. So I think the three most important things are breathing and moving and drinking water. Those are the three things that I sort of try to do every single day. Um, unclench your jaw, drop your shoulders, all that sort of thing, because we are holding a lot of tension right now, whether it be political or COVID or stress or financial or just regular holiday stress or grief of missing somebody. We are holding a lot of stress in our bodies right now. And collectively, this is a traumatic experience that we're going through this pandemic. And you can't really recover from trauma while you're going through trauma. The best thing we can do is to just kind of get through it all together as best we can. So I would remember just to take some deep breaths, move as your body is able. I know we probably all have different physical abilities, but so it might look different for people. Some people can bike and some people can walk, but if you're like, if you have physical limitations, do what you can do. Drinking water is really important, and I think a lot of people forget about it, but those are all three of those things are free. You can move, you can breathe, and you can drink water for free. And I think those are really just really helpful. And I meant to, but I can share with you to make sure that if you're feeling like you might have a problem with depression or you need to reach out, put the suicide hotline in your phone before you need it, either for you or for a friend, because when you need it is not the time to have to go looking for it.
Absolutely. There's a lot of resources that you can sort of prepare yourself for to have sort of as a bank just in case. And I think that the breathing and the moving thing is so important. And I notice myself, I do a ritual before bed because I like clench my jaw sometimes just thinking about things. And I don't even think about the fact that like my body, I'm physically stressing my body as well as my mind at the same time. And again, reframing the thought of like, I need to get over this right now and be happy and be productive because I need to move past COVID when we're still experiencing it. So such wonderful advice, Lindsay. I really appreciate. Oh, one more thing. Yeah, go for it.
About social media, it can be great as a connection tool right now, but also it might, like, I already know that seeing a bunch of people's pictures of them together for the holidays is going to stress me out, both because I think it's, because I'm going to be missing my own family because I haven't seen them in a long time. So I'm probably going to stay off that for that reason. So if that's true for you, stay off it. But if it works, if it serves as a tool for connection for you, then by all means do that.
Absolutely. Evaluate your relationship with social media, specifically over the holiday season, I think is an amazing piece of advice. Well, we got to cut it, but Lindsay, thank you again so much. I really value your time, your expertise, and I know that your words will really resonate with a lot of people that are watching.
I hope so. I hope you all have a good holiday season.
Yes, and I hope you and your family have a wonderful holidays.
Thank you.